Christmas, everybody!
It's Cinemas, aka Pirates. Here we go. I think you guys were waiting for this one for a little bit of time. It's a David Harbour movie. And we all thought, I gotta touch on this real quick, but it's Cinemas 2025. Christmas movies all throughout December. I know. We're right there with the drop of two major things. What is that drop? Well, Stranger Things is 1 day away. Christmas is 1 day away. I mean, how perfect of a timed episode is. Now, let's get back to my quick point, since you guys are familiar with me, aka Pad the Film Buff, coming to you from Philadelphia, PA. Less than a mile from the historic City Hall, giant structure, no steel, took like 100 years to build. It's like a modern day pyramid. No one recognizes that. I love it. With all of that, David Harbour. So earlier this year, we did. I need some coffee here. Man, slow start today. Earlier this year, I did a little bit of a deep dive, long form study of Mike Mignola's Hellboy. That's the creator of Hellboy. And we know Hellboy from Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro, Netflix Frankenstein, that's a boy. Couple animated features, video games, tons of merchandise, dominant in American comic shops. I mean, you can't own a comic shop without a Hellboy section. But David Harbour comes along as the new Hellboy. This is around, we're not going to call it the absolute height of Stranger Things. I think that's where we are now. Like, Stranger Things cannot get any bigger than right now. I say that, but hey, Star Wars at one time, modern day Star Wars seemed bigger than, like, Force Awakens. Around the Force Awakens, Star Wars seemed bigger than ever. But right now, Season 5, Part 2 is about to drop. Everyone's foaming at the mouth, waiting for it. But David Harbour was announced as the new Hellboy. Why is this a significant mention? Because the Hellboy movie didn't do so well. Peter A. DeLuca here, your film buff, enjoyed it. Actually, the two non-Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, I enjoyed pretty well. I well enjoyed those movies. But this seemed to be like a perfect synergy. You had Hellboy that draws from the world, like creature lore, any weird creature that a religion had or a culture had. Hellboy's featured it by now. But Stranger Things, somewhat the way how Hellboy mines folklore, Stranger Things mined everything we loved about the 80s. There's a little bit of a poetic symmetry there when you compare the two. David Harbour's character is nothing like Hellboy, but Hellboy would love to be in the world of Stranger Things. There's this crossover thing that happens in your mind's eye when you compare Hellboy and Stranger Things. And David Harbour has a bone structure. He has a face. I loved him, by the way, ever since James Bond. Forget what James Bond Harbour was in. I need to know what side you're on, Mr. Bond, or not Mr. Bond. It was the other guy. But either way, this seemed to be a perfect fit, and the movie comes and goes, and we want to say Harbour's chance of we get it. He's one of the best newer MCU characters, but this seemed to have been his one miss. But then in 2022, we get this movie. And I'm watching this movie. It's the same plot from a movie 2 years prior that we talked about last year, actually. Mel Gibson, Fat Man, 2020. Where the villain in this movie, John John Leguizamo, amazing, by the way. We were watching John Wick, too, not long ago. He's so good in John Wick. So this movie has a protagonist that got screwed over by Santa Claus. He feels slighted by Santa Claus, and he's going to exact revenge. Violent Night has a younger female character that is the audience, that breaks the fourth wall, that will ask the questions that the audience will, but also it grinds. It just makes it all more realistic because of these questions. It's a hey, wink wink, nod nod, like we know this is Santa Claus, but we're going to let the violence continue. And we get this cabin scene in this movie that just reminded me of Commando, Schwarzenegger's Commando. And we get a Santa Claus with a Viking head bashing origin, where he would bash heads with hammers. And he gets to do some of that in this movie. This movie is highly violent. It lives up to the title. That shed sequence alone. And the movie costs $20 million. Now, so much of this movie is attributed to the amazing eye of Tommy Wirkola. This is our director. For $20 million, he gave us some really good movies. Now, I'm not completely versed on his filmography. He's got some in there. He's got this Kill Bolijo movie in 2007. So 2 years after that, he makes Dead Snow. 2013, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. You can Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, somewhat around this like action deconstruction period of folk stories, like Abraham Lincoln, even though like he's not folk, but treated as such though. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. You had like Pride and Prejudice, Zombies. I don't know if that ever got turned into a movie. But you also had like R.I.P.D., where these movies somewhat came off like a Men in Black like movie. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is a solid movie. 2014, Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. Solid sequel. But then in 2017, he has What Happened to Monday. Maybe his most mainstream effort. We like that. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking to you guys about, I haven't brought to you. 2021, he's in a movie called The Trip. That could be a foreign movie, not familiar. 2024, 2 years after this, he's animated comedy, Spermageddon. I guess I have to see that one. But 2022, Violent Night. 4 years later, they're pushed. I believe Violent Night, the sequel to this, is in the works. Here's the thing, aka Patters. I don't know why the forces that be couldn't get this movie out by and during the calendar year of Stranger Things, season 5, part 1 or part 2. If the sequel for this movie dropped between Stranger Things 1 and 2, part 1, part 2, season 5, it would be looked at as one of the great release moves in absolute history. Probably bigger than Captain Marvel coming out between Infinity War and Endgame. Because people would have rediscovered this first movie. And something happened in 2005 that other film like storytellers picked up on. There's a movie called Santa Slay, written and directed by David Steinman. We will talk about this coming up. Santa Slay, in my view, is the first actual deconstruction of the Santa Claus lore. They use some of the elements from Elf, right? The Rankin and Bass stop and go animation to tell the origin story. A little bit of a trope with these movies. But breaks down the Santa Claus mythology, rewires it, and spits it back out, and it's either high action, science fiction, high fantasy, and the Santa Claus character is either a different version of what we thought he was, or he's a completely different character. Santa's sleigh, there's a curse. There's a bet that was made, and that curse is lifted 1,000 years later, and we find out that Santa Claus is a demon from hell, essentially. Then we have Krampus, 2015, a whole 10 years after that. And Krampus does the same thing and does it in the absolute best way possible. The writing, the lore building, the world building, everything. I hate those terms. And the idea, and Santa's Sleigh sets it up where we have like a son of a bitch family. We see it in Santa's Sleigh, we see it in Krampus, we see it in Fat Man, we see it in Violent Night. And this helps when we have to start killing people. It helps a lot. It makes it a lot more fun. Dare I say, it's very trauma. So we have all of these things, and Violent Night is a feather in this genre's cap. This is a boiled down genre. There's only a few films that even qualify for it. And each one is a level of watchability or more watchability. Violent Night is what we all wanted David Harbour to get out of Hellboy. This is a nod also to Santa's Sleigh. The mythology around this movie is a nod to Krampus. The plot is a nod to Fat Man. And let it all work together. Let it all flow. Let it all come out. Because we don't hold grudges like that here. Violent Night made me want to watch Scrooge. Because Scrooge, the Bill Murray Scrooge, a.k.a. Powders, has a fake TV commercial advertisement for this movie. With Lee Majors. And I think the name of that movie is might be Violent Night, Deadly Night or something. Lee Majors, $6 Million Man. There's parts of this movie that reminds me of True Lies, with the white skiing henchmen, snowmen, soldiers that are just cannon fodder. Also featured in Scrooge. Scrooged, not Scrooge. This movie is phenomenal. I'm glad there's a sequel coming. I wish that sequel dropped leading into Stranger Things Part 2. I think the world would have flipped upside down. This character is so good, so perfect for David Harbour. He fits it 100%. And because we were so attached to him with Stranger Things, we can extend a little bit of his Stranger Things character, a little bit of Hopper in a lot of his characters, and that's just the way it goes. Alright, AKA Powders, with a full recommendation. Check out Violent Night. I believe it's on Peacock.
Okay, that's a wrap.